I'll be talking about Plan B, and as I don't know if most of you know, it's also known as the morning after pill. So this pill prevents pregnancy in the case that you had sex without a condom, you forgot to take your birth control pill, or the condom ripped, or you just decided that you didn't want to get pregnant after all. So I'm gonna go. So starting May, they're actually gonna have it over the counter, and that's when the conflict becomes where they say that having it over the counter, it's gonna increase sexual activity. And in my claim, I'm gonna say that having the pill over the counter, it's just gonna have a positive effect towards everyone, towards women. And then I'm gonna go about saying having it available over the counter, it's gonna allow for the person to have sooner access to it. And I'm also gonna explain how Plan B has no effect on sexual activity. So having the pill available over the counter would allow women to access it and take it sooner, because that's the whole point of the pill. I mean, the pill only works if you're able to take it before 3 days. After 3 days, it has lower possibility, and the sooner you take it, the more effective it is. So there's no point of the pill existing if there's no access to it really fast, because in the case that if you were to be, let's say on the weekends, you hardly get to see a doctor, or pharmacists are usually closed around the weekends, or if during the week you're not able to go to the doctors or see a pharmacist, then you're putting yourself behind on days, and that's preventing you from having a higher chance of not becoming pregnant. And then they claim that it's gonna cause more sexual activity in people, but I believe that it's gonna be the same. It's gonna have no effect, because I mean, condoms, yes, they protect STDs and pregnancy, but there's also condoms that only prevent pregnancies, that don't prevent STDs. So it makes no difference. I mean, the pill itself costs $60, and I'm pretty sure a woman is not gonna be able to maintain $60 every once in a week, or I don't know when they decide to take it. I mean, I think they would rather go into birth control or have some other kind of protection rather than relying on the pill. So I don't think that's gonna have any cause on their sexual activity on deciding to use that pill. I also read a study that Marston did with 6,750 people, where they actually, in Great Britain, they allowed over the counter, and they wanted to see what effects it made that once it became available over the counter, what happened. And then according to the conclusion of that study, it said that no significant change occurred in the proportion of women using emergency hormonal contraception, or having unprotected sex. A change did, however, occur, and where women obtain emergency hormonal contraception, a smaller proportion of women obtain emergency hormonal contraception from physicians, as a greater proportion bought it over the counter. No significant change occurred in the proportion of women using more reliable methods of contraception, such as oral contraceptive pill, or in the proportion of women using emergency hormonal contraception, more than once during a year. So pretty much, having Plan B would allow women to just have easier access to the pill, rather than increasing the possibility of having more sexual encounter. So, I mean, because the pill, you're able to access it before, it's just that you had to go see a physician, or a doctor, or a pharmacist. The only pill is that it's now going to be available for you at a counter at any time.
All right, Araceli, topic is identified at the beginning. The phrasing on your claim is a little bit awkward. It sounds like you almost have two claims in there, and it does go on for a little while, so you need to tighten it up and make a clear statement that that's the proposition. I did think that the secondary points were nicely labeled at the beginning of the speech, and for the most part they were signposted as you went through, although I did feel a little bit like you rushed into the second point. The explanation about what the controversy was okay, although I do think that you need to cite some evidence that that is the main objection and that there aren't medical objections to it or concerns about whether or not it's safe, because it seems to me like that might be one of the issues that would come up about whether or not whether or not this was a good or a bad idea to allow it to be sold over the counter. You kind of explain your premises, and I thought that the explanation of your premises was pretty good. On the evidence, you've got primarily hypothetical examples on the first point, and the absence of access to doctors on the weekend. So apparently, people are only going to be choosing to have sex on Friday or Saturday night. I don't know if you might need some statistical information on that. I don't know how that works. The only statistical evidence that you have is the one study that found no statistical difference, and I thought that was a pretty good piece of information. That's really the only piece of information that you cite in the speech. There was some more information in the speech that's factual data that talks about what the cost is, and I do think that you want to give us a source citation on that cost, and then your reasoning based on the notion that women wouldn't prefer using the Plan B as opposed to condoms primarily because cost issues. I think I understand that reasoning pretty clearly. Like I said, I think that the argument is strongest on the second point, although there is just the one piece of information that you're citing there. On the presentation, your voice is fine. You do want to watch out. You look a little nervous while you're up there, just shifting your feet around and that kind of awkwardness. And I know sometimes that's just a natural behavior. It's not a public speaking class, and so we're not going to worry too much about it, but you want to be aware of it. That'll be something you'll see. When you watch it, that'll be something you'll cringe at and go, oh, why am I acting that way? It's better to just pay attention to the content. All right, thank you.